All right, so I finished Lollipop Chainsaw, and I really had a great time with this particular game. This was a lot of fun. I love games that have like, oh well, you got this cute little arcadey backdrop to something dark and foreboding. I love that. I love that mix match. It's probably one of the reasons why I love the Dead Island series so much. The combat was super satisfying, although it did feel like obviously it's a bit dated, and it does wear that datedness on its sleeve sometimes, where you do a combo and you know you should have caused a lot of devastation. Unfortunately, the game, it just ignored what you did. That happened to me a couple times. I would love to give this an 8 out of 10. Unfortunately, it's hard to give it that kind of rating. Like, I would love to. But I do understand that the Switch port is a hot mess, and some PlayStation 5 players are reporting broken boss fights. And I actually got to see some of those boss fights, and they're horrendous. I didn't have any problems when I was playing the game. The boss fights were pretty smooth for me, and overall I had a really smooth experience with this game. Unfortunately, other people did not. There was one individual who had to keep loading the last boss fight over and over again because the projectiles they were firing weren't working, and then the boss kept dropping them back onto the arena floor, and then one time they just actually fell right through the floor, and you got to see the bottom half of this giant Elvis zombie who had no feet. So that could happen to me at any moment when I go back and play this game to get a better score in some of the areas that I got through to finish the game. So I know that these bugs are in the PlayStation 5 version, and I'm a little confused. Like, I'm not saying they didn't put a lot of work into bringing this to modern consoles, but I am saying that maybe a little more playtesting could have showed them that there was some issues with this game that could have been ironed out before it released. More than just maybe fine-tuning the combat. I mean, there's some really game-breaking issues with this game that need to be addressed with a patch or something. But overall, I think that this is fantastic. It's so wonderful to see this game back on the gaming scene. And I hope that this is a good sign moving forward for the developer, that perhaps we could get a sequel, finally a sequel to this awesome little game. Well, the story wasn't like, Last of Us amazing or anything, but it was interesting enough to hold your attention throughout the entire journey, and I really enjoyed the way Juliet and her boyfriend, or the head of her boyfriend, went back and forth. I mean, I genuinely chuckled a few times between, like, the conversation between her and Nick. It was pretty funny. But overall, I'm going to say I want this to be, no, actually, I want it to be an 8.5 out of 10. But I could come back and play this game from beginning to end again and encounter all kinds of problems because I know they're in this version of the game. I didn't see them, but they're out there. So that's why I can't give it like a stellar, oh my gosh, this was so amazing, because I know that I could play this again and the entire experience be absolute shit, or bosses be broken or something, because it's in the game. But overall, yes, love the game. Will play it again. I want to get a better score. I got a couple C pluses, embarrassingly. And that's another thing, the survivor thing. I did get the bad ending, but I noticed, like, when you save a survivor, you really have to walk up to them in order for the game to acknowledge you saved them. So I missed a few survivors, and because of that, I got the bad ending. So I do want the good ending. I'm going to work for that. Anyway, yeah. Loved it. Really, really loved it. It was lots of nostalgia-ishness going on here that I thoroughly enjoyed. Anyway, that's all I got for now. You all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will catch you on the flip side.